The greatest war you will ever fight is not against people, not against critics, not even against the circumstances that surround you. The real war is happening in your own head. The enemy doesn't need to chain your hands if he can chain your thoughts. If your mind is locked, your life will stay locked, no matter how much potential is inside of you. The reason so many people live beneath their calling is not because they lack the ability, but because their thoughts keep telling them it can't be done. The enemy whispers lies, and we accept them as truth. You wake up and fight battles in your mind before you even leave your house. Doubt tells you one thing, fear tells you another, and faith has to wrestle just to get a word in. If you're not careful, your own thoughts will sabotage you before life even has a chance to test you. How many dreams have died in people's heads before they were ever spoken out loud? How many opportunities were missed because the battlefield of the mind was lost before the first step was ever taken? The mind is soil. It will grow whatever you plant in it. If you plant doubt, it will sprout fear. If you plant faith, it will sprout courage. If you allow toxic voices to speak into you, you'll start to reap the fruit of confusion, insecurity, and hesitation. That's why it matters what you feed your mind. You cannot pour poison in every day and expect your spirit to produce power. You can't consume negativity, gossip, fear, and then wonder why you feel empty, weak, and hopeless. When you win the battle in your head, you'll start to see victories in your life. The war outside of you can rage, but if you win the war inside, you cannot be stopped. It all starts here, in your thoughts, in your mindset, in what you allow to take root in your head. Every action, every decision, every step you've taken was first born in your belief system. Who you are today is nothing more than the echo of what you believed yesterday. If you believed you were weak, you walked in weakness. If you believed you were strong, you took steps that proved your strength. Belief is not passive. Belief is active. It is the internal script you are constantly repeating to yourself, whether you are aware of it or not. When you say, "I'm not good enough," you start acting in ways that prove yourself right. When you say, "I can," your body, your choices, and your behavior begin to align with what you declared. That's why believing small keeps you living small. It's not that the world denied you, it's that your own belief system chained you. Nobody has to lock you up when your own thoughts are the prison bars keeping you bound. But when you shift your belief, you shift your life. The moment you believe you are chosen, you start to carry yourself differently. You walk into rooms with your head up. You look at opportunities with confidence. You stop disqualifying yourself before you even try. Belief changes how you respond to pain. If you believe pain is the end, you give up. But if you believe pain is a teacher, you endure and come out wiser. Your belief determines whether you stop at obstacles or push through them. You can pray for change, you can desire transformation, but if your belief doesn't shift, you'll stay the same. Life is not just about what you desire, it's about what you dare to believe. Some of you are frustrated not because you don't have a vision, but because your vision is too small. You keep asking for a trickle when God has prepared a flood. You keep looking for just enough to survive when destiny was designed for you to thrive. Thinking small keeps you locked in a box that life outgrew a long time ago. If you can accomplish it without stretching, without faith, without courage, then it's too small. Destiny is never comfortable. Purpose will always demand you to think bigger than what you see. When you think small, you live small. You accept less than you deserve. You settle for jobs that don't stretch you, relationships that don't grow you, opportunities that don't challenge you. Thinking small convinces you that comfort is success, when in reality, comfort is the enemy of growth. The truth is, a big God cannot pour destiny into a small thinking vessel. He cannot trust you with much if your thoughts are still circling around just enough. If your vision can be contained within your own strength, it is not vision, it is limitation disguised as wisdom. You have to stop telling yourself, "That's too much for me. I could never handle that. That's beyond me." If your dream doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. Thinking big stretches you into new dimensions. The world bends to people who think beyond the normal. Innovators, leaders, visionaries, they all had one thing in common. They thought bigger than the environment around them. They hard to see beyond what others thought was possible. When your mind is locked on scarcity, all you can see is what's missing. You wake up thinking about what you don't have, what you can't do, what you lack, and that becomes the filter for your entire life. Scarcity keeps you comparing, keeps you complaining, keeps you constantly chasing after crumbs instead of reaching for loaves. Abundance is not about money first, it's about mindset. A person with abundance can be broke and still see opportunity. A person with scarcity can be rich and still feel poor. That's why some people with millions live miserable, while others with little walk in joy, because abundance is not in the bank account, it's in the head. When you shift into abundance, you start noticing doors where others see walls. You stop saying, "I can't afford it," and start asking, "How can I create it?" Scarcity limits your imagination, but abundance expands it. Scarcity says, "This is all there is." Abundance says, "There is more, and I will find it." The world bends to abundance thinkers because abundance makes you resourceful. Instead of being trapped by what you don't have, you maximize what you do have. Scarcity paralyzes, but abundance mobilizes. Scarcity complains about obstacles, but abundance finds the opportunity inside the obstacle. You cannot live out destiny with a poverty mindset. You cannot reach greatness when your thoughts are chained to lack. Every breakthrough begins when you refuse to see yourself as limited. The moment you think abundance, you align with opportunities that were invisible before. The same environment that crushes a scarcity thinker elevates an abundance thinker. Two people face the same challenge, but the one who thinks abundance will always rise because the mind is the lens through which reality bends. Life will always throw storms, setbacks, and seasons of chaos. But you cannot let what's happening around you dictate what's happening inside of you. Circumstances change with the wind, but if your mind is anchored, you can weather the storm without sinking. When you let circumstances define you, you become reactive instead of proactive. You live by mood instead of mission. You get up when it's sunny, but you crumble when it's raining. Circumstances were never meant to be your foundation. Your mindset was meant to govern them. The greatest victories are birthed in the darkest valleys. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Champions are born in battles. But if you allow the weight of your situation to crush your thoughts, you'll never discover the strength that was inside you all along. Circumstances are loud, but you can't let them speak louder than your faith. Your thoughts have to declare, "This is not the end, this is not who I am, this is just where I am." When your mind refuses to be defined by temporary seasons, your life becomes unshakable. The danger is that many people let trauma, poverty, rejection, or failure stamp their identity. They walk around carrying names they never asked for, identities they never chose, simply because circumstances told them who they were. But you are not what you went through. The moment you shift your thinking, circumstances lose their power. You may not change what's happening, but you can change how you respond to it. That response determines whether you stay buried or rise up. Survivors adapt. They make do. They get by. But creators change the game. Survivors wait for opportunities to come. Creators build opportunities where none existed. Survivors adjust to life. Creators make life adjust to them. If your only mindset is survival, you'll never reach greatness. Survival teaches you to settle for just enough money, just enough joy, just enough peace. But thinking like a creator pushes you to produce, to innovate, to design something that wasn't there before. Every invention, every breakthrough, every major shift in the world came from someone who refused to think like a survivor. Survivors said, "This is all there is." Creators said, "This is not enough. I will make more." That mindset is what bends the world toward vision. When you think like a creator, you stop waiting for permission. You stop begging for approval. You stop depending on handouts. You take what's in your hand, what's in your mind, what's in your spirit, and you release it into the world with force. Survivors focus on limitations. Creators focus on possibilities. Survivors complain about the lack of resources. Creators maximize whatever resource they have and multiply it. That multiplication mindset is what separates leaders from followers. The world bends to those who create. When you produce something valuable, an idea, a system, a vision, the world has to adjust to make space for it. Creation is disruptive. It shifts environments. It breaks routines. And that's why thinking like a creator lifts you above the crowd. Two people can look at the same situation and see two completely different things. One sees an obstacle, the other sees an opportunity. One sees a wall, the other sees a door. The difference is not the circumstance. The difference is how they trained their mind to see. If your thoughts are trained to see problems, you'll never move forward. You'll always find reasons why it can't work, why it won't happen, why it's too late. But when your thoughts are trained to see possibility, you'll discover paths that others overlooked. Training your mind is a daily discipline. You don't just wake up positive, you choose to redirect your thoughts. Every time fear says no, you train your mind to say yes. Every time doubt screams impossible, you train your mind to whisper, watch me. Possibility thinking is not blind optimism. It's the ability to see beyond the immediate. It's refusing to let your sight dictate your vision. It's looking at a desert and imagining a garden. It's looking at a valley and envisioning a mountain. The world bends to possibility thinkers because they don't stop where others stop. Where the average person gives up, they push forward. Where the crowd walks away, they step in. Their mindset allows them to uncover opportunities hidden inside obstacles. When you see possibilities, you begin to attract solutions. You begin to see connections, resources, and ideas that were invisible before. Life opens to you not because it changed, but because your perspective shifted. You cannot build tomorrow while staring at yesterday. Too many people are imprisoned by their past mistakes, past failures, past hurts. Their mind is so tied to what happened that they can't see what's ahead. Thinking backward keeps you rehearsing pain instead of pursuing progress. It chains you to regrets, what-ifs, and if-onlys. Those thoughts rob your present and sabotage your future. Thinking forward doesn't erase the past. It redefines it. Instead of seeing mistakes as anchors, you see them as teachers. Instead of seeing failures as proof you can't, you see them as preparation for the next step. Your destiny is not behind you. It is ahead of you. If your thoughts stay backward, your life will keep circling the same wilderness. If your thoughts push forward, you'll start breaking cycles, moving into new levels, and building what has never been built. Every day, you get a choice. Rehearse what broke you or reach for what's in front of you. Forward thinkers focus on what they can change, what they can build, and where they can go. Backward thinkers stay stuck in the memory of what they lost. The world bends to forward thinkers because forward thinking moves you into action. Forward thinking refuses to live in the shadow of yesterday. It pushes you to keep stepping, keep building, keep believing, even when the past tries to call your name. Your mind is the control center of your destiny, and you cannot allow just anything to live there. Every thought is either building you up or breaking you down. Every voice you entertain in your head is either pushing you forward or pulling you backward. You don't let strangers walk into your house and dump trash all over your living room, but how many of us let toxic thoughts dump garbage into our minds every single day? If you don't guard your mind, negativity, fear, and doubt will move in like uninvited guests and refuse to leave. Protecting your thought life means being intentional about what you consume. What you watch, what you listen to, what you read, who you surround yourself with, all of it feeds your mind. If the diet is toxic, the fruit will be toxic. You cannot expect strength when your thoughts are constantly weak. You cannot expect boldness when you keep feeding yourself fear. The quality of your life will always reflect the quality of your thoughts. Protecting your mind also means catching toxic thoughts before they take root. A negative idea left unchecked becomes a belief, and a belief becomes a lifestyle. You cannot let seeds of fear and doubt grow unchecked. The world bends to people who protect their thought life because clarity of mind produces clarity of action. A guarded mind produces a focused life, and focus is what shapes mountains into valleys and obstacles into opportunities. The crowd will always think average. The crowd will always play it safe. The crowd will always settle for what everyone else is doing. If you allow yourself to think like the crowd, you will always live beneath your calling. The danger of the crowd is that it gives the illusion of safety. It feels comfortable to fit in, to blend in, to move in the same direction as everybody else. But the truth is, the crowd is rarely right. The crowd is often loud, but it is not wise. Every person who ever changed history had to refuse the mindset of the crowd. The crowd said it couldn't be done, but they thought differently. The crowd said, stay in line, but they stepped out. The crowd said, be quiet, but they spoke up. When you think like the crowd, you're bound by their limits. You stop dreaming beyond what they accept. You stop moving past what they approve. The crowd becomes the ceiling to your imagination. To rise higher, you must dare to be different. You must dare to hold a vision that others cannot see. You must dare to believe when everyone else doubts. That refusal to think like the crowd is what separates leaders from followers. The world bends to those who dare to defy average thinking. The crowd will criticize, mock, and resist at first, but eventually they will have to adjust to the reality that your vision created. Desire is powerful, but desire alone does not change anything. Everyone desires success, freedom, peace, and joy. But desire without discipline is just daydreaming. What bends the world is not wishful thinking, but disciplined action. Discipline is when your thoughts decide, I will do what needs to be done even when I don't feel like it. It is when your mind chooses structure over impulse, focus over distraction, commitment over comfort. People fail not because they didn't want it, but because they didn't train their mind for discipline. Desire is emotional, discipline is intentional. Desire is the spark, but discipline is the fire that keeps burning when the feelings fade. When your thoughts are disciplined, your actions become consistent, and consistency creates momentum. Momentum is what moves mountains, what builds legacies, what transforms dreams into reality. The undisciplined mind is easily distracted. It starts and stops, it leaps and quits, it gets excited but never follows through. But a disciplined mind focuses, locks in, and produces results. The world bends to the disciplined because discipline makes you reliable, and reliability makes you unstoppable. When others fall off, discipline keeps you steady. When others burn out, discipline keeps you building. Life will test you. Pain will knock on your door. Disappointment will try to drain your energy. In those moments, your thoughts will decide whether you crumble or rise. If your mind is focused on weakness, every challenge becomes proof that you can't. Weak thinking magnifies problems and minimizes possibilities. It rehearses what's wrong instead of what's strong. It looks at pain as a reason to quit instead of a reason to grow. Weak thinking convinces you that you are a victim of life instead of a victor over life. But when you train your thoughts towards strength, everything shifts. You stop asking, why me? And start declaring, try me. You stop focusing on what you lost and start focusing on what you still have left to fight with. Strength thinking doesn't ignore pain. It redefines it. It says, yes, I'm hurting, but I'm still standing. Yes, I'm bleeding, but I'm still moving. Yes, it's hard, but I refuse to stop here. That's the power of a strong mindset. When you think strength, you begin to attract strength. You find energy when you thought you had none. You discover solutions you never saw before. Strength multiplies when it is cultivated in the mind. The world bends to strength thinkers because they refuse to be broken. They may bend, they may stumble, they may fall. But their thoughts always pull them back up. That resilience becomes a force the world cannot resist. Comfort feels good in the moment, but it robs you in the long run. A comfort-driven mind will always choose safety over progress, ease over stretching, and familiarity over transformation. Comfort convinces you to stay where it's easy instead of pushing where it's necessary. Growth requires discomfort. Growth means stepping into rooms where you don't feel qualified yet. Growth means trying things you've never done, taking risks that stretch you, and walking into environments that challenge your thinking. The mind that craves comfort will always run from challenge, but the mind that craves growth will lean into it. Comfort thinkers say, "That's too much for me." Growth thinkers say, "This is how I expand." Growth is not accidental, it is intentional. You must train your thoughts to welcome stretching, to embrace learning, to accept failure as part of progress. The moment you stop growing, you start shrinking. Comfort zones become prisons when you stay in them too long. They keep you from discovering the depths of your potential. The greatness in you will never be revealed as long as you keep choosing the easy path. The world bends to growth thinkers because growth thinkers are always evolving. They refuse to stay stuck. They keep leveling up, and in doing so, they force life to make room for their expansion. Sight is limited. It only shows you what's in front of you. It only tells you what already exists. But vision is limitless. Vision imagines what could be, even when sight says nothing is there. If you only live by sight, you will always be confined to the visible. You will only move when the path is clear. You will only act when it's safe. Sight thinking keeps you bound to reality as it is. Vision thinkers operate differently. They see beyond the obvious. They imagine possibilities in the invisible. They declare futures that nobody else can see. That's what makes vision so powerful. It bends the future toward your imagination. Sight says, "This is impossible." Vision says, "It hasn't been done yet." Sight says, "There's no way." Vision says, "There must be a way, and I will find it." Vision pushes you forward when sight tells you to stop. Vision drives you when reality says it's over. Vision forces you to build even when you don't see the resources yet. The world bends to vision thinkers because vision has a gravitational pull. It draws opportunities, people, and resources into alignment with what you imagine. Vision refuses to wait for sight. It leads sight into new realities. A small mind thinks only about survival today. A powerful mind thinks about the impact tomorrow. Legacy thinkers don't just ask, "How can I get through this day?" They ask, "What can I build that will outlive me?" When your thoughts are tied only to the present, you make decisions based on feelings. You choose comfort over purpose, pleasure over progress, convenience over commitment. But when your thoughts are tied to legacy, you make decisions based on destiny. Legacy thinking forces you to sacrifice short-term ease for long-term impact. It pushes you to invest, to sow, to build, to prepare, not just for yourself, but for those who will come after you. Legacy thinkers understand that life is bigger than them. They know that their choices ripple into the future. They think generationally. They think institutionally. They think beyond their lifespan. Thinking legacy gives you endurance. You don't quit easily when you know your fight is bigger than you. You don't collapse under pressure when you know you're building something greater than yourself. The world bends to legacy thinkers because they shift cultures, change systems, and alter histories. They think beyond survival. They think about shaping the future. When you think possibility instead of defeat, the world bends. When you think faith instead of fear, the world bends. When you think vision instead of limitation, the world bends. When you think discipline instead of distraction, the world bends. The world does not resist forever a mind that refuses to bow to limits. A disciplined, abundant, visionary, resilient mind forces life to make room. Reality has no choice but to bend when you think beyond what is seen. Your thoughts create your atmosphere. Your atmosphere creates your decisions. Your decisions shape your destiny. This is why the most powerful weapon you have is not in your hands. It is in your head. Every invention, every breakthrough, every revolution started with someone who thought differently. While others accepted life as it was, they dared to imagine life as it could be. That thought pulled the future into the present. This kind of thinking disrupts the ordinary. It shakes environments. It bends systems. It challenges norms. It refuses to let the world remain the same. When you think like this, bigger, bolder, stronger, disciplined, abundant, and visionary, the world cannot help but adjust. Doors open, walls fall, paths appear. Reality aligns with the thoughts of those who refuse to live confined